So this is the revisiting breakdown of Amazing Creek Spot in the Smokies. This is Creek Exploring Part 4, and this was definitely an amazing spot. This was our last video filmed in Gatlinburg of 2019. Actually filmed, not uploaded. But yeah, what are your initial thoughts, or thoughts about this?
Well, I love this spot. I believe it was out of town of Gatlinburg, I believe, somewhere down the road. It's a spot that we have fished at. Yep, near Greenbrier. That's right. And it's got a hell of a stretch, or a really good stretch, of creek that you can walk and explore. And obviously in these shots we are swimming and caught a lot of different schools of fish. We also eventually will get close to a waterfall here that's really neat, that presented some big fish as well. But this spot was definitely a lot of fun because not only did we find a lot of fish, but as you can see, like an indentation like that, it's almost like its own aquarium in the creeks. I mean, there's scenery beyond belief that most people in the park will never see because we wear goggles and explore. We're not only looking for fish, but we're looking for, like we've always said, the hellbender and just art form rocks and environment and nature that makes it pretty special.
Yeah, I definitely say this spot is probably the spot we explored was a little over 50 yards. You think of actual creek, 4 to 5 feet deep at the deepest, right? Or you think it's not even that? You think it's 3 to 4 at the deepest?
I think he's right. I mean, in spots it was probably 2 to 3.
Yeah,
I think at this time of the year, which is August, I believe, the creek was, I think, down a little bit. But in one of the deeper spots near the waterfall, it was probably 5 to 6 foot deep.
Yeah, you kind of lose track of that when we had the goggles because we just want to stay. And it was definitely, we were getting so close to this waterfall that I'm guessing when it's higher, we probably aren't even able to stand there. And then we start following a school of fish here, which is, I think you're filming at this time. But it's definitely an amazing shot of these fish swimming right in the sun. It's definitely one of our best footage we've ever captured on Mountain Warriors.
Yeah, definitely. I think we ran into a bunch of, it seemed like tetra type fish. I don't think we get any on this video. They can range anywhere from orange, red, to blue, green, and we definitely were running into a lot of them. The bigger fish definitely come down toward the waterfall itself, but as you can see, just really nice, clean water with a lot of really pretty pictures of rocks and things like that.
Yeah, this is a particular spot here where you might see the camera a lot of jump cuts because right here in particular, we're trying to swim up the part of the creek, and it's so hard to swim up this one part that's why you see a bunch of jump cuts, because as you see, we're trying to fit up this one part, and it's really hard to. You see the camera on the ground, and trying to swim up that little current is a lot more difficult than you may think. And you see your hand there grabbing on the rock. You're trying to get up the stream. It doesn't look that powerful, but it really is strong right there.
Yeah, he's right. It's an extreme workout. I mean, that's the good thing about what we do. We really enjoy it, but the workout itself definitely burns calories. Would be something you could train on, but the good thing about it is we look like a couple of bears at the park up in Alaska, but we're checking out all the fish that are fighting the water coming down off the waterfall as well. And really what they're doing is they're waiting for food. There's always good abundant food sources at the bottom of waterfalls. There's a lot of turbulence within the water which throws everything around. But not only are we checking out small fish right now in a great environment, pictures that we kind of get, but they're even better than what you're seeing as you get closer to the waterfall. And eventually there's a huge, I think, brown trout that we're going to get a little bit of a glimpse of that I saw, probably around 12 to 14 inches.
Well, this is the thing I wanted to mention real quick with the water. It is so cold that there's a certain point where I jumped in the creek and hit a rock on my knee and my shin, and it hurt, but then I kept swimming around. I realized when I got out it was a major lump. It was bleeding, but I didn't even notice because the water almost numbed it and helped it out, and it recovered a lot faster. So I thought that was pretty cool. Then yeah, here's a shot of the part where we were swimming. It looks absolutely beautiful. It's one of the best spots ever. But then we make it up farther, and we start to see a bunch of fish near this waterfall, which is something you'd never see. You'd never know all these fish were down here unless we were in the water. And it gets really shallow here. It's probably a foot or two up here, but we're kind of just on our bellies. Actually, probably 2 or 3 there. It's not that shallow. But we knew we were not in too deep of water. We knew what we were doing, so we weren't going to get swept under any rocks here.
I just think too, like piggybacking on that, as far as what he was talking about, we kind of go on our bellies and crawl our way up. It's the best way to not get hurt too. You actually go slower by walking. You leave yourself open to stepping on things, to twist your ankle or slip on rocks and get hurt. So I found it's the best way to just bob your head above the water to get some air and go right back in and kind of crawl your way around.
Yeah, this is actually on our favorite animal encounters of 2019. This is what I put as my favorite encounter, especially this clip here, where we see a bunch of fish all at the same time. You were just watching this earlier. See all the fish swimming in this school, and you see the sun shining off them. This is easily my favorite animal encounter of the year in this spot. And all the fish are swimming in one school right near this waterfall, and you'd never see this if you were just walking by. And this is an area where a decent amount of people go, because we actually did find a phone. You found a phone, but the video corrupted, and we couldn't even post that. So that was very frustrating, but that wasn't as cool as seeing this. But
no, he's right. I mean, this is like a huge nature aquarium, and we were lucky enough to have this spot to ourselves that day. A lot of people like to tube down these and swim, but just a lot of, probably the most abundant fish spot that we had come across in all our exploring of the creeks.
We swim down the creek a little bit, which I thought was really fun to swim with the fish down like you're an actual fish. And then this cool part here where there's this rock and kind of this ravine, and you swim down there, and it's definitely really fun to swim the one way, but then again, swimming up is so difficult that we basically just walk up, because you can just, it shows how strong the fish are to be able to swim up that easily, and it's so difficult to swim up ourselves.
Yeah, it definitely was a reward. If you swim up, you definitely get wore out, so that to turn around and let the current just kind of take you down the creek is it's a nice reward, and it's a lot more fun. There is a drawback to the video. I mean, if you're crawling up, you go slower so you can film more, so the faster you get jammed down. And I will tell you this too, just a little side note, nature always flexes its muscles sometimes, and when the water pressure's on you and pushing you, definitely shows the strength of the creek. And it's definitely why you want to keep your feet up. Don't get them jammed under a rock in the wrong place. But it was a great ride.
Yeah, then basically the only other thing in this spot, there's just amazing fish all around. We found the phone. This is actually the same location that we found the spider. As we're swimming here, that massive wolf spider probably just made his way to our book bag and is hiding there. And then the other big gray one's on his way.
And I wanted to add one more thing in there. Kenny had talked about how he banged his leg, and he's right. The water is so cold, it's hard to feel anything. Now, the good thing is it would be like an ice pack to keep some swelling down. But
yeah.
My wife, Kenny's mom, she was walking on rocks not too far from us. And you always want to pay attention to your party when you're around the creeks, not only in nature, in a park of what's outside the water, but when people are around creeks, the rocks are slippery, as we said before, especially wet. And there's definitely chances to fall. She had actually fallen that day. She banged her hand up to where it swelled up a little bit, probably a blood blister.
Yeah.
And she basically just sat there and put it underneath Waterfall Park to help keep the swelling down.
And then basically the only other part, which I'm sure you want to talk about, is here's the part where we find a rainbow trout, I believe, and you'll probably want to talk about that.
This actually might be a brown trout, Al.
Oh yeah, there's actually two different ones.
Yeah, there's a couple here. We might have a rainbow and a brown.
Yeah, that's
like Kenny said, the water is so cold. It's as you first get in, it's cold, and then it seems like 20 to 25 minutes later, when you basically have to get out, it's even colder.
Let's get started. It is kind of cool though, looking at this picture alone. I'll show the freeze frame how it blends in. How it's the same color as the rocks. And that one I showed you earlier, actually it's a different one. That's the coolest one we saw here, which we don't know the exact species. It looks like it has some spots on it.
Yeah, all the different rainbows, browns. There's some different type of trout that we need to study up on. But that's the neat thing about divings. We see all kinds of different fish. And definitely the bigger ones are much better off around those waterfalls because they have a little more weight to throw around than the small ones.
Yeah, it's definitely cool to see that they're underneath the waterfall, especially those in particular at the most difficult spot to get to. But that basically wraps up this video. This was a great spot. Hope to revisit it soon. Further down the stream, years before, we had saw actually really big fish probably the size of a bluegill, almost at that one spot. Remember that one spot farther down?
Yeah, it looked like an angelfish.
I don't know. It looked like a different shaped one than any of these we saw. These are all skinnier. That looked like more of a wider fish, at least, and it was protecting a nest because we tried to fish for it and we were watching it. It didn't care about the hook at all, and it was staying in the same spot. But yeah, that was basically it for this creek spot. You want to add anything?
Yeah, just in closing out, the research of all these spots, and like Gatlinburg finds out every year, there's new species of things found all the time. So in diving, which actually could be in some of these pictures, there's all kinds of fish in there, and there's all kinds of different types of fish. As we continue on, I'm sure we'll find more and more.
Yeah, but that was basically it for the breakdown, revisiting of Amazing Creek Spot in the Smokies. Like we said earlier, we wanted to revisit these because our commentary we felt wasn't that good, not really telling you what's going on, which sometimes I think you guys would probably enjoy just seeing nature and not having us talk. But it's cool to go back and explain what we were thinking and how we came to the spot and all the stuff we saw there. There's previous ones that we probably aren't going to revisit just because there isn't that much interesting going on, but we'll try to revisit as many as we can, the ones we think, and if you think we should revisit one that we haven't, then we'll do that. Thanks for watching this breakdown, and we'll see you in the next video.